Hey everybody, welcome to episode 4 of Border Crossing. This is the episode where I will be returning to Mexico, crossing the border, actually in the opposite direction. Just this morning I recorded episode 3, and now I'm heading back across, heading home. I'm actually at exit 2 on the 805. Palm Avenue, I think is the name of it. I believe I got all my errands done I need to get done. Dog going out very, very happy. She had a really good game of Frisbee there. So I'm going to be getting on the 805 south here, heading down towards Mexico. So where to go from here? So I was up here just running errands and playing in this park here at exit 2 with my dog, Luna. And she was really having a blast playing Frisbee. She's really, really very good Frisbee dog. Always wanted to have a Frisbee dog, and I finally have one. Luna, and she's everything I hoped for. She's really awesome at Frisbee. And really fun. But it was funny because she's never really seen other people play Frisbee, I guess, or other dogs play for sure. But as we were there, a whole group of people showed up. I think they were playing like Frisbee golf or Frisbee football or something. I don't know. There was like a couple different teams that were actually playing with a Frisbee. Luna was absolutely enthralled. She couldn't believe what she was seeing. There were people everywhere with Frisbees. And then there were also some dogs out there playing Frisbee, which I think she'd never actually seen before either. So it was quite cute. She was really very much enraptured with the idea of team Frisbee, I think, because she never really seen it before. And then exit 1, the last exit here in the U.S. We used to keep the car parked here at exit 1 until very recently. Jen was still having to cross on foot, but no longer the case. So again, as with crossing into the U.S., I really do not know what the status of our recording is while crossing the border into Mexico. I'm going to play it safe again, only because I've got my residency application in the works right now. Just don't want to jeopardize anything, and it's a stretch. No one watches this stupid thing anyways, I know that. But just in case the wrong person saw it, took it the wrong way, whatever, I don't want to take a chance. It's like an official okay from somebody that it actually is okay to film while actually crossing the border. I'm going to be turning the camera off short of the border. Turning the phone off, I should say. So, anyway, but I will turn it back on, I think, on the way back. I think you want to see the route back from the border back to where I actually live. And so there'll actually be 2 episodes here, 2 separate recordings for episode 4. One up to the border, and then one after I get across. Crossing the border in Mexico, as you'll see, at least as far as you can see, is a much more simpler proposition. Although, man, this morning, episode 3, dang, that was a really easy crossing. That's probably the easiest crossing I've had since I moved here. In fact, I know it is. The easiest and fastest. I think the whole episode, I was just looking at the recording, it's 30 minutes start to finish. That's incredible for you to get across the border, or to the border completely. I mean, at the border in 30 minutes from where I live. That's the best. I don't think it really gets any better, any faster than that. So, as with every time I cross coming to Mexico here, I've got nothing to declare, so we don't have to worry about that. Because I do have to declare items. I'll talk about it at some point, some episode. It's doable. We did it with one load, or Jen did, I should say, with one load. It's moving down here. It's kind of a painful process. There's no, obviously, like many things, there's no rules. There's no ways you can find out what you're supposed to do. You just kind of got to do it. Cross your fingers, or maybe if you listen to the show, watch the show, I can learn something from me about what to do or what to not do. Then what not to do, one thing is try to bring a bed or a mattress into Mexico undeclared, because that will get you into some sort of serious trouble. Not sure why that is, but for whatever reason, mattresses seem to be a hot item here, and you don't want to try to bring one into the country. Learn from painful experience, but anyway. Yeah, we actually moved in a 1 carload at a time, essentially. You know, you have the $300, I think it's $300 personal exemption limit per person. So, 1 $300 or less carload at a time. It took a long time. It's still not done. We still have 1 storage locker left in the U.S. But fortunately, we didn't have a lot of stuff. Never really have. But even so, it's taken a really long time to move in that fashion. We're hoping that tomorrow we can close that last storage locker for good, and then we totally storage locker free for the first time since we moved here. One item we have has been a bit of a thorn in our side is actually a shotgun. That was Jen's, which is now mine. Cannot have guns in Mexico. We looked into trying to import it here legally. Basically impossible. So there's 3 classes. There's 3 ways you can do it. Sporting, or I can't remember what the three classes are, but the requirements for the gun there's no weather shotgun would fit or make any of those classes. So anyway, we gotta send it to someone in the U.S. and of course shipping it going. Not a big deal, except the receiver has to have a license to receive the weapon. Well, unfortunately, I know someone who does, so we're gonna send it to him, and then have him hold on to it until some point we can get it up into up to Kentucky. In any event, that's been kind of a pain. She also has a bow and arrow, which we believe it's okay to bring across. Should be no issue. I think she said she's seen people with swords and knives crossing. It's just really, it's really what firearms are really looking for. So I think we're okay, but we gotta double check on that too. It's a compound bow. There's also a crossbow. We'll have to check on that too. Those two weapons or whatever they are, hunting implements. So this is actually fairly backed up for, I guess because it's the weekend, people going down to Tijuana for the weekend. Usually you zip through this here pretty quickly. So once you get past through here, I'll have to turn the camera off at that point, but once you get through here, these are not actually manned, these gates here. It looks like at some point the U.S. maybe was going to man these, check people leaving the country, but for whatever reason, I guess they never put them into service. I don't know if they're not in service, but anyway, once you get through these, I'll turn the camera off, but what happens next is what's called the sushi blender, I call it the sushi blender, or the sushi chef or something, I don't know what you call it, but it's basically the thing you go through, and it's got this red light, green light thing. If the light turns green, you're good. If it turns red, then you gotta pull over and get inspected. And it's partially random, I think. I'm not sure what exactly they're looking for, but in any event, I've yet to get the red pullover thing here at San Ysidro, actually anywhere. So we'll see if I keep the streak. One of the things I like to do when I cross is just have the windows rolled down, especially because I have tinted windows. I think that just makes it, it's easier for them to check. Make sure you're not trying to hide anything or whatever. But I always do that. I always take my sunglasses off. If I got a hat on, I'll tend to take the hat off too. I don't know if it makes a difference really, but I feel like maybe it's a polite thing to do. Plus, I do think that having a residence tag, like I have it hanging in my car here, showing that we live down there, that we live in a complex there in Mexico, maybe helps. I don't know. Again, maybe not. But traffic always moves much more quickly. Although I can't say that. This morning, the U.S. was extremely fast, but much more quickly than going into the country. And it's a reflection of the difference in attitude about visitors in their respective countries. I'm going to flip this off as soon as I get through this little thing here, unmanned manned booth, for whatever reason, it's spelled here. And then I'll flip it back on once I get right across there, and then we can see the route back. There's of course many ways back, just as there are many ways to the border, but there's really only one for where we are. There's really only one way that is effective as far as being fast. And Google, if you try to rely on Google Maps, it will not take you this way. For whatever reason, Google just rejects this route, even though it's by far the best route. I'm not able to figure out why it actually does that. I think it's something to do with the border, or where the border sits. There's a weird zone where it's not clear if it's the U.S. or Mexico, and it's a whole big thing. But anyway, I'll talk a little bit about that after I get back on the drive home. All right, I'm going to check out now. Turn it back on here in a couple minutes once I get through the border.